buyback program, and I support a mandatory buyback program. It's got to be smart. We got to do it the right way. But there are 5 million at least, some estimate as many as 10 million. And we're going to have smart public policy that's about taking those off the streets.
Welcome back, Warriors. It's me, Linda B. Thank you all so much for joining me here today. Today, I've got Kamala Harris's latest interview. Yes, she's doing an interview, not necessarily nationally. But before we get into it, don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Watch the video to the end. Let's get into it. So Kamala Harris has been taking a lot of heat lately for not doing interviews. And the interviews that she has done so far have been, for lack of a better word, rigged in her favor, right? We know about the CNN softball interview with Dana Bash, which was pre-recorded and edited. And if you notice, she was looking down. Also, this latest interview is with Brian Taff of 6 ABC News in Philadelphia. And is more local, not national, but it is her by herself, and she's attempting to answer questions. And we're going to see exactly how well she does in this interview. And I'm going to be giving my commentary throughout. And I want you to pay attention to a lot of things. Pay attention to how she answers these questions.
All good? Okay. Okay, wonderful. Good. Awesome. Madam Vice President, pleasure to meet you. Thanks for your time today. Our audience appreciates your time as well.
Of course.
Now, I just want to point out, I don't know if you realized how nervous she seems. Let's back it up just a little bit more.
All good? Okay.
They're checking the sound and everything. They're ready.
Wonderful. Good. Awesome. Madam Vice President?
She looks very tense, very unsure. I'm not picking, but she's running for president. Okay, just keep that in mind. She is running for president of the United States of America.
Pleasure to meet you. Thanks for your time today. Our audience appreciates your time as well.
Of course.
As you know, we're sitting here in a state and arguably in front of an audience that 54 days from now could decide the outcome of this presidential election. Yeah. You hear it more than I do. People want to know more about you and about your specific plans. At the debate the other night, you talked about creating an opportunity economy. Mm-hmm. I wonder if we can drill down on that a little bit. When we talk about bringing down prices and making life more affordable for people, what are one or two specific things you have in mind for that?
Well, I'll start with this. I grew up a middle-class kid. My mother raised my sister and me. She worked very hard. She was able to finally save up enough money to buy our first house when I was a teenager. I grew up in a community of hardworking people. Construction workers and nurses and teachers. And I try to explain to some people who may not have had the same experience, but a lot of people will relate to this. I grew up in a neighborhood of folks who were very proud of their lawn, and I was raised to believe and to know that all people deserve dignity, and that we as Americans have a beautiful character. We have ambitions and aspirations and dreams, but not everyone necessarily has access to the resources that can help them fuel those dreams. And
notice she says dreams, ambitions, and aspirations. Dreams, ambitions, and aspirations. Just remember that.
So when I talk about building an opportunity economy, it is very much with the mind of investing in the ambitions and aspirations and the incredible work ethic of the American people, and creating opportunity for people, for example, to start a small business. My mother, worked long hours, and our neighbor helped raise us. We used to call her, I still call her, our second mother. She was a small business owner. I love our small business owners. I learned who they are from my childhood. And she was a community leader. She hired locally. She mentored. Our small businesses are so much a part of the fabric of our communities, not to mention, really, I think, the backbone of America's economy. So my opportunity economy plan includes giving startups a $50,000 tax deduction to start their small business. It used to be $5,000. Nobody can start a small business with $5,000. But investing in people's innovative ideas and giving them the ability to go for it. Opportunity economy means, look, we don't have enough housing in America. We have a housing supply shortage. And what that means, in particular for so many younger Americans, the American dream is elusive. It's just actually not attainable. So part of my plan is to work with the private sector and housing developers to give them a tax credit, to be able to partner with us as the government to build, and my goal is 3 million new homes by the end of my first term. In addition, to help people who just want to get their foot in the door, literally. And so giving first-time home buyers a $25,000 down payment assistance to be able to just get in the door, and then they will do the work that they need to do to save and to pay that mortgage and to build wealth for themselves and their family. These are some examples of what I mean when I talk about an opportunity economy, and a lot of it has to do with just the community I was raised in and the people that I admired who work hard, and deserve to have, their dreams fulfilled because they're prepared to work for it.
You talk.
Yeah, so the question was, what's she going to do to lower the cost of things? To lower the cost, because there's a problem with inflation. So right now, her answer was the aspirations and dreams and ambitions. She went off to how, she grew up in a middle-class home. Her mother raised her and her sister, and she was finally able, by the time she was a teenager, to buy her home and things like that. And then she went into opportunity economy, tax credits, money to start a new business. 3 million new homes built and $25,000 down payment for first-time homeowners. Now, that still did not address the higher cost of goods and products and services. It was not addressed. And I want you to still pay attention to that same language, the aspirations and dreams and ambitions statement.
At the debate and at previous appearances about turning the page on the past. And in fact, here today in Johnstown, you're talking about a new way forward.
Yeah.
I think some people have a question, given maybe your current role as Vice President of the United States, how different you are from Joe Biden. And so I wonder if there are one or two spots, policy areas or approaches where you would say, I'm a different person.
Well, I'm obviously not Joe Biden. And, I offer a new generation of leadership. And so, for example, thinking about developing and creating an opportunity economy where it's about investing in areas that really need a lot of work and maybe focusing on, again, the aspirations and the dreams, but also just recognizing that at this moment in time, some of the stuff we could take for granted years ago, we can't take for granted anymore. For example, another plan that I have that is a new approach is to expand the child tax credit to $6,000 for young families for the first year of their child's life, because that is obviously a very critical stage of development of a child. And a lot of young parents need the help to buy a car seat or a crib or clothes for their kids. And so my approach is about new ideas, new policies that are directed at the current moment. And also, to be very honest with you, my focus is very much in what we need to do over the next 10, 20 years to catch up to the 21st century around, again, capacity, but also challenges.
Crime and public safety are two major issues, right at the forefront of voters' minds in Philadelphia as well, where crime is a significant issue.
He's going and talking about crime, but let's get back to the question that she just answered. He asked her, how is she different from Joe Biden? She talked about turning the page on a new way forward, right? And he's like, how are you different from Joe Biden? Her answer was a new generation of leadership. She brought up again the opportunity economy, which is off of the first question. She said aspirations and ambitions again. And she talked about a child tax care credit of $6,000, But notice it's only for the first year of that child's life. The first year. So basically all I got was that she's going to offer a child tax care credit. I know Joe Biden said $3,000. She says $6,000. So that's all I got from that. Now he's asking about the crime.
When we talk about crime, the conversation turns to gun safety as well. And I think you actually probably caught a lot of people off guard, maybe a bit by surprise in the debate the other night when you mentioned that you are a gun owner. I know you said it in 2019 as well. I want to talk about your values on this issue. When it comes to gun ownership, where do you draw the line in America on gun ownership and gun use?
Well, like you said, Brian, I am a gun owner, and Tim Walz, my running mate, is also a gun owner. We're not taking anybody's guns away. I support the Second Amendment, and I support reasonable gun safety laws. Part of my approach to this is I was a career prosecutor for most of my career. I have personally prosecuted homicide cases. I have personally looked at autopsies. I have personally seen what assault weapons do to the human body. And so I feel very strongly that it is consistent with the Second Amendment and your right to own a gun to also say we need an assault weapons ban. They're literally tools of war. They were literally designed to kill a lot of human beings quickly. I say we need universal background checks. The majority of NRA members support that. Why? Because it's just reasonable. You just might want to know before someone can buy a lethal weapon if they've been found by a court to be a danger to themselves or others. You just might want to know.
He's got two final questions, but before he gets into his two final questions, now I have to show you a couple of clips. Now, she said she's for supporting the Second Amendment. She wants a universal background check. And we do want to know if people have mental problems or any kind of other issues that will make them a threat to others and to themselves. Of course we do. And the question was, where do you draw the line? So she is in support of an assault weapons ban. Watch this.
We have to have a buyback program, and I support a mandatory buyback program. It's got to be smart. We got to do it the right way. But there are 5 million at least, some estimate as many as 10 million. And we're going to have smart public policy that's about taking those off the streets.
Buybacks. So I did a little history on buybacks, and buybacks have historically not worked. Because you make an announcement that you're buying back people's weapons, then they'll have a tendency to, let's say they'll give you $50 or $100 for a weapon. People will buy other weapons for cheaper and turn those in. Let's say they'll buy something for $10 off the street or $20 or $25. And where they live is encouraging people to give up their weapons, and they'll buy them back for you for, let's say, $100. Well, if they didn't have a gun at all, but they bought a gun off the street for $25, they're making a $75 profit. So that's what happened, I believe, in Maryland and in other areas. And what I have found, interestingly enough, once you do this buyback, it did not change the crime either at all, minimally a teeny weeny bit, or crime for some reason increased. That is the history of the gun buyback program. So she has routinely said historically, now you know she flip-flops. Okay, she might as well wear a MAGA hat at this point. But historically, history has shown us that these buybacks do not work. And you can look this up. It's all on the internet. The gun buybacks, again, routinely, historically, have either not changed crime at all, lessened it just a teeny amount, or increased it. For some reason, crime increased, these deadly homicides. So it did not work. It sounds good, but it did not work. She's talking about just assault weapons, but will it stop there? You know the Dems, how they do. They try to make something sound good, but she has routinely said, buyback.
Questions, if I might.
Sure.
On the appeal of the man you were running against, as you drove here today, you likely saw a lot of Trump signs. Mm-hmm. He has an historic appeal in this country. And as you are someone running against him and trying to understand that, I wonder how you distill it. What do you understand his appeal to be? And how do you speak to his voters, or maybe people who just share his values but are open to something else?
Based on experience and a lived experience, no. In my heart, I know. In my soul, I know that the vast majority of us as Americans have so much more in common than what separates us. And I also believe that I am accurate in knowing that most Americans want a leader who brings us together as Americans, and not someone who professes to be a leader who is trying to have us point our fingers at each other. I think people are exhausted with that approach, to be honest with you. I think people want a leader who has common sense and tries to find common ground. I'm supported by over 200 Republicans who worked for both Presidents Bush, John McCain, Mitt Romney. I'm supported by the former Vice President Dick Cheney, former Congress member Liz Cheney.
Okay, notice the types of Republicans that she just named. They're all rhinos. She mentioned Bush, Mitt Romney, and the late John McCain. She mentioned Dick Cheney, Liz Cheney. These are rhinos. So people who are conservative, who support Trump, already know this. So she's not helping her cause by bringing up rhinos. These people are part of the problem, part of the establishment. Okay, that is what she's saying. And so the question was, how do you understand Trump's appeal, and how do you appeal to his people who are going to support him to try you? And all she said was some rhinos. And talking about, division. She's saying that Trump is causing division and that we have more in common with each other, which is true, but I don't think she believes that. And that we want to be united and not pointing the fingers at each other. That's what she said. But notice that under this administration, there's been a lot of chaos going on. It's like, I want everybody to really pay attention to what she's actually saying and what has actually been done in this current administration, which she is a part of.
And I think people are more willing now, in light of the hate and division that we see coming out of Donald Trump, to say, hey, let's put country first. And I think that just makes us stronger and more healthy as a country.
I'm sorry for interrupting, but she said, let's put country first. I got to call her out on this one. BS, Kamala Harris, BS. Okay, you're not putting country first. You're the border czar, and you let all these illegals in, and they're soaking up resources from natural-born Americans, veterans. Our own citizens are not getting the help that these illegals, and I put emphasis on the word illegal, that they're getting. So what is she talking about? Put America first. Trump is trying to put America first. He's going to deport them and then build up America.
Country, to say, look, we can all debate our differences around, various policies, but let's stop with the division. Like, enough of that. Let's bring everybody together.
And finally, as you introduce yourself to America in a new way, they've heard much of your story at the Democratic National Convention and in that debate earlier this week. If there's one thing that you wish Americans knew about who Kamala Harris is that you don't think they know yet, what would that be?
I don't know. Probably it's not very different from anybody watching right now. I love my family. One of my favorite things that I lately have not been able to do is Sunday family dinner. I love to cook. I have incredible friends. My best friend from kindergarten is still my best friend. I think that, I have a career that really, and I said it the other day, as a career prosecutor, I never asked a victim of crime, were they a Republican or a Democrat. The only thing I ever asked them is, are you okay? And I think that's the approach that most Americans want, regardless of who they voted for in the last election, in terms of turning the page and charting the way forward.
All right, that was Kamala Harris in an interview again with Brian Taff of 6 ABC News in Philadelphia. So just listening to her, I noticed that she uses terms quite frequently. The same term is like aspirations, ambitions, and dreams. And she kind of answered the second question very similarly to how she answered the first question. And she never really did answer how she was going to drive down inflation to lower the cost. She never answered that. And what she said, again, was a tax credit, to start, new businesses. She was going to give people money to start new businesses. She was going to build 3 million new homes, $25,000 down payment for first-time homeowners. Yeah, that could drive the economy if she were to do it, but it didn't really drive and hone in on how she would lower the cost. The main way that we can lower costs is through fracking, drilling for oil, drill, baby, drill. Because when you lower the cost, energy, we can make ourselves energy independent by fracking. She did not mention fracking here. She said she was not in favor of fracking. Now she's in favor of fracking, but it was not brought up here. Okay, it was not brought up here. And that is a soundproof way of making things cost less, because when energy is less, you pay less at the gas pump, trucks that deliver goods and services like grocery items to the stores all over the country. It costs less to fuel those trucks, which costs less on the actual products themselves. Everything that is driven by fuel, plane tickets, everything will go down, which means we spend less money. We spend less money. So she never mentioned that. Okay, so we have to really pay attention to what's being said, and not just what's being said, but what is actually being done around us, what we're actually experiencing. Because if you are seeing her say that, we've got a hold on crime, the economy's doing well, but your own experience, that's not your experience, that's not my experience, we have to call BS on that, because we can't trust people. These people don't know us. Do they really care about us? Okay, they're trying to say that Donald Trump is a felon, but a lot of them just haven't been caught. Okay, they just haven't been caught, because Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, the stuff that they did, and most recently Jim Crow Joe and Kathleen Kamala, what happened in Afghanistan, and didn't have the common decency to show up for the families and offer any kind of condolences or comfort or compassion, just a finger at Donald Trump. Look, he caused an altercation. They, broke a law. They're not supposed to take pictures, and none of that was true. So, again, let's just hone it in. Let's just not get emotional. Let's just look at facts and do more than go to fact check or Snopes or PolitiFact. Let's do a little bit more than that, because I know a lot of times people look at the news, they believe the news, and then on top of that, they do fact checks and they think that they've done research, when all they've done is listen to the same person with a different name give them the same BS. And that's what most people think they do. They think they've done their research when they look up a PolitiFact, and I used to be the same way. Stuff that I know to be true. I mean, I know them to be true. I don't just believe, I know. And then I look at what the fact check organizations say, and it's not true. They're saying the opposite of what I know. So that lets us know, okay, so what's going on here? What's the Sam H-E double hockey sticks going on here? But you all be blessed. Thank you for watching so much. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell. You all be blessed. Love God, your families, these United States of America. And as I always say, march on, warriors.